Welcome to the CFO's Edge, the podcast dedicated to equipping financial leaders with the insights and strategies to thrive in today's complex business landscape. I'm your host, Eric Weis. Today, we're tackling a scenario that no CFO wants to face, receiving a material weakness in your company's internal controls. This isn't just an audit finding. It's a flashing red light for investors, regulators, and even your board. But it's also an opportunity to strengthen your organization. In the next 15 minutes, we'll outline a CFO's immediate response. We're going to pinpoint some top risk areas, very common, and discuss the most challenging aspects of remediation, and even touch on when it might be time to consider switching your SOX provider. So here's a little background on myself. This webinar is part of a series of articles and webinars for financial executives that I'm putting together. I've been fortunate enough to work with hundreds of CFOs to help address best practices and controls. Let me know if you have a topic of specific interest, and of course, I would welcome the opportunity to work with you. And please do connect with me on LinkedIn, which is noted there, and reach out to me at eric.weiss at SingerLewak.com. Great to have you. So, you've just received the news. Your auditors have identified a material weakness. And what's the very first thing you do as a CFO? Your immediate reaction is crucial. First, of course, don't panic, but don't minimize a control weakness either. This is a significant finding. So number one is to acknowledge and understand. So your priority is to deeply understand the root cause. It's not about blaming where it came from. It's about the diagnosis. Sitting down with your audit committee and sit down with your external auditors, get a crystal clear understanding of the specific control deficiencies that led to the material weakness. Is it a design flaw or is it an operating effectiveness issue? Important, obviously. A pervasive control environment breakdown, those do happen. Number two is to communicate internally and strategically. So inform your executive team and your key stakeholders. Transparency is key, but the message needs to be carefully crafted. Focus on the plan to remediate and not just the problem. Next is form a dedicated task force. So immediately assemble a cross-functional team. So it's not just an accounting issue. As you probably know, it involves IT, operations, legal, and potentially human resources. Designate a strong project manager. This task force will be responsible for the remediation plan. Next is the board and audit committee engagement. Very important to prepare to present to your audit committee and the full board. Be ready to articulate what the issue is, its potential impact, and your comprehensive remediation plan. This demonstrates your leadership and accountability. Next are hotspots for material weaknesses. Remember, the clock does start ticking. You only have so much time. Your ability to demonstrate a rapid, organized, and effective response is paramount to maintaining credibility. While a material weakness can theoretically pop up anywhere, certain areas are perennial hotspots due to their complexity, their reliance on human judgment, or rapid change. And as CFO, these should always be on your radar, even before an audit finding, and you're going to be aware of these, of course. Revenue recognition, yes. This is a huge one, especially with the evolving accounting standards like ASC 606. You got manual processes, complex contracts, multiple performance obligations, or insufficient segregation of duties, which is an often seen one and a big one. And around billing and cash receipts, those are the common culprits. IT general controls, of course. Oh, so often. They're often overlooked by finance, but they're critical. Weaknesses here can quickly trickle down to impact your application controls. Think user access management, program change management, data backup and recovery, and of course, cybersecurity. If your ITGCs are weak, the integrity of your financial data is absolutely at risk. Period end and financial reporting processes, another hot spot. The close process is oftentimes very complex. Manual journal entries, inadequate reconciliation processes, a lack of proper review at times, or an ineffective oversight of consolidation activities. These can all lead to significant errors. Complex accounting estimates, of course, and very industry specific. I've seen so many different ones, and wow, yes, they can be complex. Areas requiring very significant judgment, such as valuation of goodwill and intangibles, complex derivatives, uncertain tax positions, or significant reserves for things like litigation or inventory obsolescence. These are all ripe for material weaknesses if the controls around those assumptions and the data and the review are not robust. Our next one is segregation of duties. I should probably have it first. Yes, this is a fundamental control, and it prevents one person from having too much control over a process. Inadequate segregation of duties, particularly in smaller companies or those with pretty lean teams, can lead to fraud or errors going undetected. Sadly, I've seen both many times. No fun for that. This often pops up in procure to pay and order to cash cycles. Absolutely. Pervasive control environment. So this isn't a specific process, but the overall tone at the top. So important. If there's a lack of commitment to internal controls, an ineffective ethics program, for example, or a weak whistleblower policy, this can all lead to undermine all the other controls. If people don't see that management is serious about controls, takes it seriously, and they're going to be held accountable, it affects the control environment for sure. And this is the hardest to fix because it's a cultural issue. Proactive monitoring of all these areas, even without an audit finding, can save you a world of pain. Definitely helpful to take care of all that. So now we're on to remediation. Remediation also requires some fundamental changes. Remediating a material weakness is more than just a check the box type of exercise of your list. It requires a fundamental change, and some things are significantly harder to fix than others. First one, cultural behavior changes. So this is probably the toughest. If a material weakness stems from a lack of control consciousness and a get it done regardless of the cost mentality, just do it and forget about the controls, or a culture where controls are seen as, oh, this is such a pain, this is red tape, it's what am I doing this for? If it's seen as red tape and not taken seriously, remediation is going to be an uphill battle. Requires strong leadership from the top, absolutely tone at the top, continuous training, and a consistent message that controls are integral to the business and not an impediment. And there are consequences when those controls aren't in place. Next is IT system implementations or major upgrades. Absolutely. If your material weakness is rooted in an outdated ERP a poorly configured system or a lack of integration between your systems, the fix isn't quick. Unfortunately, implementing the new systems or significantly reconfiguring existing ones is very costly and time consuming. And of course, those changes carry their own set of risks. It often requires a significant capital investment and a multi-year roadmap to complete. Next one is remediating a pervasive control environment weakness. And as I already mentioned, if the material weakness points to a breakdown at the tone at the top or the overall control environment, it's not a procedural fix. It requires a fundamental shift in leadership commitment, accountability, and the entire organization's approach to risk and controls. This can involve a change in leadership, reevaluating compensation incentives to try to emphasize things, and extensive training. The more you hear, the more they're going to buy in. The next one is a lack of skilled resources, which is often the case, especially where I have worked so much in Silicon Valley with these with small private companies that are growing quickly, and then they go public and they're rapidly expanding. They're focused on the business, and sometimes the controls are in the background, right? And you don't have you want to hire for your key business areas and not necessarily focus on some of these other specific areas, but they're still important. So sometimes the problem isn't the process, but it's the people. If your team lacks the necessary expertise in technical accounting or IT security or internal control design, you're going to struggle to implement effective remediation, for sure. And this might necessitate new hires, significant training, or engaging external consultants. And that's where, please feel free to reach out to me. I love helping people and working with new businesses. And it makes a lot of sense to do this as you're growing, for sure. Next is achieving a sustained effectiveness. So it's one thing to implement a new control, right? We did it. It's a whole other thing to ensure that it operates effectively and consistently over time. The temptation is to relax once you have that immediate fire put out. You could celebrate, but sustained effectiveness requires, guess what? You know the answer. Ongoing monitoring, regular testing, and continuous improvement, especially in fast-growing, changing organizations. Everything changes, new areas are brought in, new systems, new technology, new people, new processes, all of that changes the control environment. So, and you need continuous improvement. And remember that true remediation isn't just about passing the next audit. It's really about building a robust and sustained control environment that not only mitigates risk for the long term, but makes your organization better, and it's preventative in nature. So you're going to be a better organization because of it. It's a great mindset. Okay, so this is a tough topic, delicate topic, but it's important to discuss. Sometimes it's really needed. And if you receive a material weakness, it's a natural question whether your current SOX compliance partner, be it an external audit firm of some kind, or an internal SOX consulting team that you have put in place, are they truly serving your needs? And when should you consider a change? So here are some general guidelines. One is a lack of proactive guidance, right? If you have, did your provider offer sufficient proactive guidance to help you identify and prevent these weaknesses before the audit? Were they truly a partner in risk mitigation, or just an auditor pointing out things at the end, right? Did they help you practically and proactively, specific to your business and your key processes, right? Very important. Number 2, surprise findings. Oh, nobody likes surprise findings. Oh my goodness. Okay. While auditors are meant to find issues, a material weakness should not come as a complete shock. If your partner was deeply engaged and provided ongoing insights into your control environment, shouldn't come as a surprise. Ineffective communication, another one that I've seen so many times. Was there a clear breakdown in communication leading to misunderstandings about expectations, findings, or the correct path to remediation? How often do you meet with your SOX team, your SOX auditors? Do you know them? Do you know the lead? Do they proactively communicate with you, or is there this type of communication breakdown? Next, if there's an inefficiency and high cost, not just for the service, but for how your controls are in place, right? Are they efficient? Are you consistently spending excessive time and money on SOX compliance without a clear return in terms of what are the improved controls? Is your provider bringing innovative approaches, or are they just sticking to the same old routine? Do they understand your business? Do they seek to understand your business and your core processes and tailor things to your organization? That is so key, because otherwise you can spend time doing a lot of unnecessary things and not focused on the key controls. A lack of expertise. Does your provider have the necessary industry specific or technical accounting expertise to truly understand your business and its unique risks? Very true. Strained relationships. Yes, and I've seen this not just between the SOX team and in management. It's so important to have a collaborative, can-do approach. Communication's good, proactive, practical, not, gotcha kind of attitude. That's bad. But also between the SOX team and the external auditor, it's so important that they don't compete. Let's say if they're both external, it's so important that they don't compete and not collaborate. I've seen that happen, and it's not good. There can be a little strained relationship. So that's one reason that we do not compete with the Big Four, and I love to be able to closely collaborate in an appropriate way with the external audit team. So for a strained relationship, if that relationship has become adversarial in any way or uncollaborative, it might be time for a fresh perspective. And changing provider it is a significant decision, should not be taken lightly. It involves an RFP process, onboarding new teams, ensuring a smooth transition. But, and I know that's where the reservations come into place, right? But if your current partnership is consistently failing to add value or provide the necessary support to mitigate these risks effectively, exploring alternatives is a crucial part of your CFO due diligence. Okay, to wrap up, ultimately, receiving a material weakness is quite a challenge, and it's also a catalyst for improvement. So let's look on the positive side. It's a catalyst for improvement. Let's hope there aren't too many of them, right? As CFO, your leadership at this moment defines your commitment to financial integrity and operational excellence. By understanding the risks and tackling the difficult areas head on and critically evaluating your partnerships, you can transform a setback into a stronger, more resilient organization. And I would, of course, love to help you. We're here to help. SingerLewak. Let me give you my contact details as well. And here you go. So here's my email, my phone number, and if you would like, there's a PDF with a link to more information. And if you would like the full article version of this content, I'm happy to provide it. Just reach out to me with an email at eric.weiss@singerlewak.com. And again, for more information on our services, you see the link there. And that's all for this episode of the CFO's Edge. Thank you so much for tuning in.